Yes, that's right. It's Lock It Up Sports Talk. My name is Logan Lockhart. This is the Fines Huddle Network. We do this every week, usually Wednesdays, now on Tuesdays. So keep that in mind. Lock It Up Sports Talk here on FHN. All right, we're going to get to the games of the day, my picks of the day. And now we're in that time of the year, and it hasn't happened for a while, but we're at that time when there's so much sports going on. You had the national championship game last night. Congratulations to the Baylor Bears, who were so tough on the glass early on. Gonzaga looked shell-shocked to me early, and that's it. Once you get off to a lead like that, Gonzaga hadn't trailed all year like that. And then within the first 8 minutes of the game, they were facing their biggest deficit they had in months. So congratulations to Baylor. They spoil the undefeated season from Gonzaga. It was the first time since the 70s it could have happened, and Baylor says no, no, no. And by the way, if Baylor hadn't had so much stops and starts with COVID this year, they may have gone undefeated, but a lot of people within the coverage of the NCAA tournament, they were making the point of Baylor, it was really tough for them this year. And because of that, they lost a couple of games. They lost 2 games. But they could have gone undefeated. And now here they are, the March Madness champions, NCAA tournament champions. Baseball opening weekend, it was wild. It was wild. I mean, Shohei Ohtani is really becoming the story of this season with the Angels. He can pitch, he can hit. He's going in there, he's throwing 101 miles an hour. And then he goes on the first pitch he sees, batting in the 2-hole, first time since 1903 that's happened, and he hits a home run. And off the bat, one of the hardest hit home runs of the season. And in the StatCast era, it's going to rank at the top for some of the hardest hit home runs. If you didn't see it, check it out, because the sound off the bat, Ohtani, the first pitch he sees, and you hear A-Rod saying it in the booth, color commentary, he says, watch out, first pitch, and Ohtani drills it, and that's it. Really something to see. It's a spectacle. The Angels are playing well. And the Angels are a team right now. I know it's early. It's the old baseball cliche of it's early, relax. But they're looking okay. And if Ohtani can stay healthy, not only are the Angels going to be a force, I believe. They're overdue for that. They're really in a spot right now where they got to win now. They're overdue. It's become a narrative in the baseball world. Mike Trout's got to get to the playoffs. The Angels are due. If Ohtani's healthy, it becomes even more of a case where they just have to make some noise, at least play some playoff games this year. But he really is becoming the story. Shohei Ohtani, if he's healthy, he's going to be in the MVP conversation to me. That's how I look at it. So you got to keep an eye on that. And quickly, before I go to the NHL, because there's some Taylor Hall news this morning that we do have to dive into. But Yermin Mercedes with the White Sox. This guy, he's 28 years old. He had his first 8 at-bats over the weekend. All of them were hits. That hasn't happened since 1900. So again, between Ohtani and Yermin Mercedes at the White Sox, the storylines are there in Major League Baseball, and we're seeing things that we haven't seen in 120 years. So, look, this guy, I was watching the White Sox last night as well in Seattle, and I was watching his ABs. He's an interesting hitter. He does have that Pablo Sandoval vibe to him. The same kind of moves in the batter's box in between pitches. You can kind of get that vibe from him. And Pablo was a great hitter. And I'm a Sandoval fan. And right now the difference is that Mercedes is a DH, even though he could play catcher from what I've heard. And Pablo was a pretty good defender over at third base. So that's the difference right now. But this Mercedes guy, he's an incredible story. And it sounds like he just never got a chance. He's 28 years old. He's played independent ball. He's played in the minors. He's come from the Dominican Republic. And he's just kind of hit everywhere. But there wasn't a spot for him. And it sounds weird seeing how he's playing now. And it is early. But his at-bats are good. You can see the tools are there. And even his only home run, he's got the power too. It came on 2 strikes. He changes up his stance when he gets into a 2-strike count. There's something about this guy, and he's worth keeping an eye on right now. early in the season, if you're going to look for something throughout this Major League Baseball season, of course, most of you probably interested in the Blue Jays. But other than that, if you're going to look for things, it's Ohtani, who's playing every day in the 2-hole, DH, and then every 6th day, starting on the mound with some of the most electrifying stuff on the bump. And then this Yerman Mercedes character, who I guess people are calling. It's right now, he's just a guy. It's someone who we're going crazy over. But if he continues this, and I'm not 100% sure what he's batting right now. He went 3 for 4 yesterday in Seattle. So he's just keeping it up. He's got to be batting 8 something, maybe pushing 900. Obviously, he's not going to keep that up. But this is a story to keep an eye on early in the season. All right. So it begins. Taylor Hall, he's out of the lineup today against New Jersey. So it seems. It's looking as though that's confirmed. And with Taylor Hall, I remember coming on this show a few weeks ago, talking about the Sabres and how Taylor Hall is stuck on 2 goals. Well, he's still stuck on 2 goals. And Jack Eichel's been injured. Eichel's been limited to only 21 games this year. The Sabres are they're setting records, really, for how much they're losing. They did get off the schneid. They finally won a game after 18 straight losses. But the point is that when it comes to the Sabres, you can make all the excuses you want about this season. You can say COVID this, COVID that, and it's a weird year. But this is kind of becoming a theme in Buffalo. Okay, I'm not going to chalk this up that easily to COVID. They're not going to be off the hook like that because this is as bad as it's gotten. And remember the 2014-15 season, the Sabres it appears as though they were tanking on purpose to go into the McDavid sweepstakes. They ended up getting Jack Eichel out of it. But this is worse than that. And as far as I know, this wasn't a tank year for the Sabres. In fact, they thought they can probably make a push this year in a different kind of format, in a different division. They thought maybe they can sneak in and at least be in the conversation for the playoffs. Now, I bet you they weren't guaranteeing a playoff spot, but to at least be on the edge there for the playoffs. I'm thinking that had to be the expectation, and a firm expectation at that. They haven't done any of that. Taylor Hall, 2 goals. He's got 19 points. He's played 37 games. Whoever trades for Taylor Hall, you got to ask yourself, what Taylor Hall are we getting? This guy was an MVP 2017, 2018. He was good in Arizona. I didn't think he was brutal in Arizona. This is by far the worst we've seen of Taylor Hall. And maybe some teams out there that are looking for a trade, they're thinking to themselves, maybe it's just a situation in Buffalo. And maybe if we get him out of Buffalo and bring him to our system and a new approach to how we're playing, it's Taylor Hall. He'll get going. I got 3 teams in mind for me when I think about a Taylor Hall trade. Number 1 is the Islanders. For me, the Islanders are one of these teams that they keep the puck out of the net, number 1. We already knew that. But at home, talk about what you want with home ice advantage. This team, they've lost 1 game at home all year in regulation. That's saying something right there. And we're at a portion of the season where you can kind of look at those numbers and look at the splits home and away and definitely say they have an advantage. So I like the Islanders for Hall. They lost Andres Lee, their captain, which was big. He's out for the year. And Taylor Hall can come in, and he can kind of be one of these guys that not only fills a void for Lee, but also, in a way, I guess you can say, spark the offense, spark the power play. Matt Barzal looks like a superstar right now. He's making plays that we haven't seen him make before. He's having just a fantastic year. Consistency, still a question of Barzal. But I think that if you have a combination of Hall, Barzal, you're looking at something pretty good here with the Islanders. And they're a team that I got going pretty far. I would take the Islanders in playoff series over a lot of teams in the East. And I'm including the Canadian division as well. I'm thinking I'm taking the Islanders over any team in Canada, and that includes the Toronto Maple Leafs, who we're going to get to in a minute. But the Islanders right now, they have a system in place by Barry Trotz, and ever since John Tavares left that team, they've kind of thrived, and that's just the reality of it. So I like the Islanders for Hall. I like the Blues for Hall. The Blues can't score right now, and the Blues are really struggling to put the puck in the net. They got Tarasenko back, which is going to help the cause, but even then, they need some goal scoring. The problem with the Blues right now is the cap. So you got to kind of maneuver around the salary cap, which the Leafs would also have to do. And the Leafs are my third team. Back to the Blues quickly, though. They're in a division with the two best teams in hockey, Colorado and Vegas. Look, this team, they won the Cup in 2019. They are still in the mix. They're a good team. I know they lost Pietrangelo, but that's okay, believe me. And when it comes to goal scoring, if you have a guy like Taylor Hall available, you kind of make it work. You're in the mix. I expect the Blues to be in the mix. Yes, they have to go through some salary cap adjustments when that happens. But other than that, if you can add Taylor Hall, you're in good shape. I think you have to, because Vegas and Colorado in particular, they have been on a tear as of late. Kind of a slow, inconsistent start. That's behind them now. Colorado right now looks like a team where if really you chalk it down, I mean, they might be the overwhelming favorite to win the Stanley Cup right now. I don't see the odds. I don't have them in front of me. If I were to guess off the top of my head, Colorado should be right there. Nathan McKinnon is playing like the best player in hockey, as he has a case to be. I know McDavid this, McDavid that. McKinnon, he can do it, and he's playing like it. So I know that sometimes for people maybe in Canada or on the East Coast watching Colorado Avalanche games isn't on the top of the list sometimes, and it hasn't been historically. But keep an eye on McKinnon and keep an eye on what the Avalanche are doing, because it is special right now, and they're on an absolute tear. Toronto Maple Leafs for Taylor Hall. There is no doubt about it. You can hear Kyle Dubas talk about it. The Leafs want to add another forward. I don't know if that's changed, because all of a sudden Alex Galchenyuk in the top six is playing quite well, and he's finding some chemistry. With Tavares and Nylander, it's looking like a line that you can go forward with. So why trade for Taylor Hall, especially when you don't know what you're getting this year? And I like Taylor Hall. This is still Taylor Hall, but you don't know what you're getting. He's having a career low year. He's minus 21, which I'm not going to pay too much attention to. But 19 points in 37 games, not good enough. Kyle Palmieri in New Jersey, that would probably come at a cheaper price if you're looking to add a winger. There's going to be options out there. Michael Granlund, for example. There's guys, right? You don't have to shoot for the moon for Taylor Hall, especially if Buffalo, from what I'm hearing, they want a first-round pick, and the price is relatively high. I expect it to be high, and they've waited. And I like what the Sabres are doing here, because they're waiting. They're not rushing into a Taylor Hall trade, because it was evident, let's be honest, 4 or 5 weeks ago, that Taylor Hall and the Sabres, this isn't going to work long-term necessarily, at least for the rest of this season. And with the trade deadline, on April 12th, we knew 4 or 5 weeks ago that Taylor Hall, he's gone. He's gone and out of Buffalo. So the Sabres are waiting. I don't know when they'll push the limit here, but Hall is out of the lineup tonight, which usually means that something is either in the works or they're being ultra precaution because you don't want him to get injured. But that's the sense around the hockey world right now, that Taylor Hall, a trade could come very soon. I don't know when, but it could come soon. It's just who is going to be a suitor and who's going to pay that kind of price. Of course, he's an expiring contract as well, so you have to keep that in mind. Could you work out a sign and trade with Taylor Hall? Potentially. You could. But I don't know who would do that. And I don't know what Taylor Hall would want per year. He's getting $8 million this year. And surely he might have to bet on himself again next year and take a 1-year deal, because that's what he did with the Sabres. He thought, hey, if I play with Jack Eichel, 1-year deal, I'll be back to that MVP caliber status, not quite, but at least in the eyes of some, and I'll get my big long-term deal next summer. Well, it's not really working out right now. So he's got to be traded to a team, and he's got to have a good playoffs, playing for a contender. And then you visit the Taylor Hall situation and where he stands in this league. Now, Maple Leafs win again. The Maple Leafs are kind of back on track. They were struggling for a bit there a few weeks ago. Jack Campbell. He is becoming a story, not just within Toronto, but the rest of the hockey world is starting to take notice of Jack Campbell. And what's happening with the Maple Leafs is actually quite simple, because if Campbell stays healthy, he's the guy in the crease. There's no doubt about it. He's had injury concerns. Anderson has his injury concerns as well. But if they're both healthy, you're playing Jack Campbell. There's no goaltender debate anymore. That's what it is. You have to play him. If the playoffs started tomorrow, game 1, it's Jack Campbell. It's as simple as that. He's off to a historic run. He's now making his mark in franchise history by winning season. He's got 8 or 9 wins now. He's undefeated. It's quite remarkable of Jack Campbell, and I think the Leafs, I'm talking about the players now, they have all the confidence in the world when he's behind them. I just think that's how they play. They play well. They win games. And the Leafs, quite frankly, should win games because they are the best team in this division. Calgary's absolutely on a downward spiral right now. It's becoming real close in Calgary to where they got to kind of run the table and win every game. It might be now. And after last night, it could be now. Daryl Sutter, I'm a big fan. I loved it when they hired him. Maybe just this isn't his kind of group. Maybe that's what it is. But that's the wrap in Canada. Of course, it's kind of going beyond hockey, and I will talk about this with the Canucks, who have originally, if you asked me a week ago and you saw the news a week ago, you would have said that today's April 6th, and they're going to be back on the ice, because that was the initial report that the Canucks, their games would be postponed through April 6th. There's about 20 players included and staff included on the list now for COVID-19. And from what the reports are, it's quite serious. And if you haven't kept an eye on this story, it really is an intriguing one. And in terms of hockey, look, hockey is secondary now, and you have guys, and it's not good. It's not good at all. This is potentially the worst outbreak that's happened in sports, and it's with the Canucks. And you know what? The hockey's secondary right now, and I know there's a lot of question marks about whether the Canucks will be able to finish this season. And again, that's secondary, because their health is what's most important, and now their family members are contracting the virus. So it's way beyond hockey right now. When you have family members now, and these guys, from the reports are, they can't get out of bed. So it's not a good situation in Vancouver. And again, hockey is secondary to all that. It absolutely is. We can talk about the implications of the Canucks and what this means. I'm not that interested right now. Well, maybe we'll talk about that at a later time. Not right now. Let's go back to baseball here before we get to the picks and the games of the week. Quickly, with the Blue Jays, who are in Texas right now. They won yesterday. The Rangers are not a good team. I don't want anyone to get excited here about the Blue Jays. The Rangers struggle on almost every front of the game. The Rangers lineup has gotten off to a pretty good start in their first series. Yesterday just wasn't there. We'll see today. Blue Jays pitching has been very strong, and you can actually make the case that that's been the strength of the team so far. In a year where we all thought pitching might be the Achilles heel for the Blue Jays, it's going to hold them back. No, because after Hyun-Jin Ryu, it's been strong, and the bullpen's been strong, and everyone's kind of done their part here. The Blue Jays are looking like a good team. Now, can the pitching hold up? Because I have my concerns about the rotation after Ryu. Robbie Ray, we'll see when he comes back. But other than that, I'm looking at the Blue Jays right now. I'm looking at a lineup that's going to do damage. And it's not going to happen every day. We know that. But it's going to happen a couple times a week where these guys do damage, and they're going to find a way to keep their pitcher into the game. I think they are. Steven Matz was fantastic on the mound for Toronto yesterday. And he's a guy that struggled the last few years, had a brilliant start to his career with the Mets, and now he's in Toronto. Brilliant stuff from Matz. The Rangers couldn't figure him out. They just couldn't. So the Blue Jays, look, they're playing well. They're in a spot right now where we know the division's tough. The AL East, it's going to be a real tough battle. Yankees, Rays, Jays, it's kind of looking like those three battling it out until the end. Blue Jays are going to sit there with both those teams. And the Rays should feel good. The Yankees should feel good. So I'm not saying the Blue Jays are above anyone, but it's kind of going to be like that. I would put the Blue Jays lineup ahead of both those teams, right? We know that the pitching, if it's going to hold up like this, and the bullpen by committee, what Charlie Montoyo is implementing here, that whole theme of let's do it by committee, if that's going to work, the Blue Jays might win this division. I'm not going to jump to conclusions because, again, the baseball cliche, it's early. Games of the week. We'll go to the NHL here. We're coming down to the wire here in the NHL. And we're in a situation right now where you're kind of looking. There's about 15, 16, 17 games left, depending on who you are. East Division. It's been my favorite division of the year. And just of the most intrigue, storylines. I will get to what's happening with the Panthers and Hurricanes and Lightning because that is not getting enough attention right now. Those are three elite teams. They're playing like it, and that's going to cause some problems. East Division, tonight you look at the schedule, and it's a big one because you got Washington and the Islanders. The Islanders are 2 points back of the Capitals, but again, this game is in Long Island. And I'm going to go with the Islanders here. I'm going to take the Islanders. I'm pretty confident in this. I think the Islanders at home, there's something about it. If they get a 4-2 lead going into the third, if they get a 2-1 lead midway through the second, they're probably going to lock it up. And that's my lock right here. Islanders against the Caps. I think the Islanders are going to make a statement. The Caps are a great team. We know that. But the Islanders, to me, are looking like potentially could be the cream of the crop of this division. And this is a good division, too. You've had some teams struggling as of late. Philadelphia, brutal as of late. I mean, in bad ways, getting blown out. Boston, they're kind of inconsistent right now, the Bruins. And Pittsburgh's playing well. But it's Pittsburgh at the end of the day, and I don't know any of us are picking the Penguins to make a cup run at this point. So it's the Capitals and Islanders. So this is a big game tonight in that division. Now, let's go up. And I'm going to look at this Panthers-Hurricanes game tonight in Raleigh. The thing about these two teams here is that, first of all, Florida, they're playing like the best team in hockey. They've won 6 in a row right now. There's something special about this group potentially. And with Carolina, again, they got just a brilliant power play right now. Everything's clicking. Look, at the end of the day, the two games of the days in the NHL, you got the Caps, the Islanders, and then you go a little more south with the Panthers and Hurricanes, and these are playoff matchups. These are potential conference finals within their division matchups, because if you're not aware of the format, what's going to happen? You have you're playing the teams within your division for the first 2 rounds, and then you go to the conference finals, which could be against anyone. But these are the cream of the crop teams in the NHL right now. Of course, the Leafs won yesterday, and the Leafs are still in the mix to be like that. But this Canadian division right now, I'm looking at it. I like Winnipeg. I like Edmonton. Yep. Montreal, I think the jury's out on Montreal. And then other than that, it's a wash. So, and sorry. But this is kind of the point of the season now where we got to start making these conclusions. and saying these things. So those are my 2 games of the week, of the day, excuse me. Capitals, Islanders, and Panthers and Hurricanes. Keeping an eye out on baseball as well. Blue Jays and Rangers tonight. That's going to be a little later. If you're on the East Coast, it's 8 o'clock Central Time, 7:05 first pitch. A lot of good series going on in Major League Baseball. Look out with the White Sox and Mariners continuing today. Again, you want to see your Min Mercedes just like that. And then a great series going on right now in Southern California with the Astros and Angels. The Astros got off to a wicked start to the season. They had a lead against the Angels last night. They blew it. The Angels won. The Angels all of a sudden are playing real well, and this is looking like a battle in the AL West. Astros, Angels, you're going to want to see this early on in the season, a good series with the Angels. And, of course, you get to see Shohei Ohtani. That is all for me on Log It Up Sports Talk. My name is Logan Lockhart. Remember, Tuesdays now, not Wednesdays, live on all the platforms you watch our shows here on Fine's Huddle Network. Until next week, here I am, signing off.